Ancient Egypt remains a source of inspiration for many artists all over the world. This year, International Art Exhibition Forever Is Now focuses in the pyramids of Giza. According to the organization, this is a first in the pyramid's 4,500-year history. The event showcases works by both Egyptian and international artists.
So the project is the idea that for a moment you would see the pyramids a bit differently, and that the top of the pyramid is actually floating. And like any anamorph, you see it from one point of view. And so that's the installation. And it's visible to anyone who comes here, but you have to align to it when you come to actually play. So it engages the viewer to actually photograph it.
Yes. Well, this is the first contemporary art exhibit in the pyramid, so it's really special to be part of it. And my piece is very, very significant because it basically speaks about unity. It speaks a universal geometric language. The gold dome and the ellipse is part of the Egyptian history in terms of the use of gold and the use of the third eye, the eye of Ra, and connecting with the universe in so many different ways.
The works on display include installations and sculptures. The common theme is that all works invite the public to look at the pyramids differently.
Show me another place on this planet that is set up in this way. This is super magical. It's such a pleasure for me to be here with my family, to be out here supporting one of the greatest artists, in my opinion, of our lifetime, JR. Straight out of Paris. This is like, what's better than this? I mean, we got to see the sunset here.
The International Contemporary Art Exhibition has been taking place in Egypt every year since 2017. The aim of the event is to reflect on the global influence of the ancient Egyptian civilization in contemporary art.
These three young Togolese have one thing in common. When they were born, they were officially not registered. Without a birth certificate, it was difficult for them to go to school. At some point in their lives, they were exposed to being stateless. It is therefore impossible for them to exercise their fundamental rights, such as education, healthcare, and even marriage.
L'impact que cela a eu sur ma vie maintenant.
The impact it has had on me is that it has delayed my studies. I got my high school diploma very late.
L'année que j'ai eu mon bac, c'est pas l'année là que je dois l'avoir.
I feel a lot of pain because of all this. If I had a birth certificate and a proof of citizenship, my future would have taken a different turn. According to the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, at least 1 million people are stateless in West Africa. To counter the phenomenon, 13 countries in the region have ratified the International Convention of Statelessness. But there are still obstacles.
I think countries are coming out now to actually look at the issues that are presenting the challenges. They have talked about administrative procedures and barriers in various countries. They have talked about the issues, the unwillingness to grant ID cards to some persons. There's also the unwillingness to issue birth certificate in some areas. While progress has been made, I think there's still more to be done.
Some 10 million people worldwide are without nationality. The UN Refugee Agency aims to eradicate this scourge by 2024. South Africa's voters delivered a significant rebuke to the governing African National Congress, the party of late anti-apartheid leader Nelson Mandela, which got less than 50% of ballot cast in local government elections. In result announced Thursday night, the ANC saw an erosion of its support and as a result will control fewer councils and have fewer mayors in big and small cities across the country. President Cyril Ramaphosa acknowledged that the party will have to form coalition to govern key metropolitan areas. Not only did voters not support the ANC, most did not bother to vote. Although voting day was declared a public holiday, turnout was 47% of registered voters, more than 10% lower than the previous elections. The main opposition party, Democratic Alliance, failed to take advantage of the ANC's decline in support, seeing its share of vote decline by 5% since the previous local election in 2016.
These families of Sudanese protesters, Gamal al-Shazli and Mohammed Abdusalam, are mourning their sons after they were killed during anti-coup rallies in the capital, Khartoum. Mohammed Abdusalam was shot in the chest in his local neighborhood of Kafuri and later died at hospital. His family are shattered by the loss. I found all my neighbors gathering at the house, and that's because he was shot next to the house. They chased them till they got here. They shot him, and it was a hard shot, a fatal shot. The person who shot him wanted to kill him, and he was young. He was so young in age. The coup started when General Abdel Fattah Burhan, head of Sudanese military, dissolved the transitional government and detained political leaders. The move sparked deadly protests. I will go out again because we are not more precious than those who died. Many have died before us, so we are not going to stay at home and let them go out and die in vain. The coup, widely condemned by the US and the West, came more than 2 years after a popular uprising forced the military's removal of longtime leader Omar al-Bashir and his Islamist government in April 2019.
The Sudanese army announced on Thursday the formation of a new government 10 days after the coup d'etat of General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, a move condemned by the international community. Mr. Burhan, who led the country since 2019, dissolved the government on October 25, arrested civilian leaders and declared a state of emergency in the country. After the coup, Sudanese took to the streets in mass protests that were suppressed by security forces, leaving at least 12 people dead and hundreds injured. On Sunday, the dispossessed Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok, who has been under house arrest since the coup, called for his government to be reinstated. Diplomats, businessmen, academics and journalists are trying to mediate, but so far without much success.